Over a year and a half ago, I bought this Golf GTI. I bought it from someone I work with and had the intention from saving it from the scrapyard. You can see it still needs attention. In this episode, we pick up where we left off. The next stage is to wrap the car. We have the vinyl wrap, so let's go.
It's heavy.
It's orange. It's supposed to be fire orange. Let's take a corner off. It's quite nice.
Swagger down the street with your red lips and funky beat. You better hold your head up to the sky. I'm gonna roll with you till the day I die.
You can see it's got like a protective film on it. So once you take that off, it's super glossy. It's really hard to portray on camera what colour it actually is. When it comes to applying the wrap, I'm going to start off small. I may need an extra pair of hands, certainly to do the roof, possibly the bonnet as well. I will get some practice in on smaller panels. I think I should start really small. First piece done. Using a sharp knife, I get to work on the smaller pieces, starting with the door protectors. I use some heat to do the domed end and the tricky bits. In order to be most economical with the vinyl, I cut thin strips to size, straight from the roll as I go along. Now the smallest bits are done, I move on to the centre of the front bumper. This area I don't have to be too careful because the number plate will go over it. To relieve stress on the vinyl, I cut the top section out, then use some heat to deboss around the edge. Once I am happy the vinyl has stretched enough, I cut the excess material off. I do not have to be really neat here because the red plastic trim will finish it off nicely. Now I can trim around the outside of the grille. On goes the plastic trim, then the badge. I'm still yet to install the GTI logo. Now the panels get progressively larger. I'm starting on the front left wing. For this panel, I'm not using any water, so it's a dry application, slowly working down from the top right corner. Overall this panel is going okay. Once the vinyl's on, I trim around the wheel arch and up the door line. Trim around the headlights. Onto the passenger door. This is a relatively flat panel, so there shouldn't be too much to go wrong. The hardest part about this is only having two hands. Trying to hold the vinyl away from the car in certain areas while I apply takes a lot of attention and concentration. I ended up taking the door panel back off as it was starting to crease right in the centre. I think on the next attempt I'm going to wet lay it, and it will give me a chance to move it around a bit and perhaps start from the centre and work my way out. Now the second attempt is going much better. I can trim along the door line, front and back. Across the sill, applying some heat to deboss it where the door handle goes. Trim along the top of the door line. And we can move on. Onto the bonnet. Using water on this section is key. It's easy to pull up and reapply the vinyl to stretch it out over the surface. I start by working from the centre. This is my second attempt at the bonnet. You can see at the front centre I have some serious problems. With the minimal skills I have, I don't think I can get around this problem. I'll most likely have to make some cuts. Then I'll disguise this area with something else, maybe a decal of some sort. The issue I came across here was I had to get rid of excess material. As the bonnet curves down to the front of the car, there is nowhere for the material to go. I don't know really what to do. No matter what I do here, it's going to look unprofessional, shall we say. Oh, look at that. I think I've got an idea for this. Already, this job is testing my patience. Staying positive though, I move on to trimming the excess from the bonnet, making sure to keep my knife nice and sharp to get a nice smooth line. Moving on to the biggest section, the roof, I had to work out a bit of the technique to apply the vinyl initially single-handedly. By adding water you can have the issue of getting the backing paper wet. This will fall apart and stick to the vinyl, basically writing it off, so I had to take real care not to do that. Using the same technique as the bonnet, I carefully work my way from the centre, running lines back and forth, slowly squeezing the water out. In order to relieve stress on the edges, I carry out a rough trim down. As I get to the corners, the tension rises, and it takes more and more work to get the vinyl down. Now I can carefully trim across the front, along the back, right the way along the sides, both left and right. Starting on one of the two second largest areas, the rear quarter panel, I carefully wet lay the vinyl, stretch it out to remove most of the creases, then work my way from the top down. Once I have got so far, I can relieve some stress to the vinyl by cutting out the area on the window. Using the same technique as before, I use some heat to deboss around the window line. This simply warms up the vinyl, allow it to stretch and sit into the window. With the vinyl applied, I can cut around the wheel arch, down along the boot line and the rear bumper, around the window, and that one's done. The same procedure for the near side. I'm starting on the front wing. You can see where the stress points are. A good trim, and that's the front quarter done. Using water for every panel now, it's going on much better. Not having much room this side of the tent, you really have to think about how you're going to apply the vinyl, as you have to avoid at all cost allowing the vinyl to stick together, because this can result in tearing and creasing when you try and pull it apart. Imagine what I could do if I actually had room. As you could probably tell, this job was testing my patience once more. Trimming along the window line, I try and match it the best I can to the offside. In the ideal world, you want to take the window out so you can fully install the vinyl inside the aperture, but hey, maybe next time. Now I carefully trim around the fuel filler cap. This is really hard to do neatly. I'm moving on to wrapping the A-pillars. Again, in the ideal world, this should have been part of the rear quarter panel, as there's nothing stopping you making it all one piece. However, to cut the template out would have been a nightmare without wasting loads of vinyl, so I've opted to just join it along the top of the door. The template is reversed for the driver's side. Moving on to the rear spoiler.
Come on, pal. This is the problem with working cold temperatures. Stuff just rips rather than stretches. Yeah, that's done. That's a waste.
I can't help but laugh watching me acting like a child, but obviously that day the cold and frustration was getting to me. I decided to leave the rear part of the spoiler black as it fits in well with the grills and the wing mirrors. Moving on to the boot lid. Yeah, you'll see how that goes shortly. This is where it starts to really go downhill. I thought the front bumper was going to be difficult. Once I cut the vinyl down to size, I could cut a big section out the centre to relieve any stress, but it was still really hard to get the creases out. I did persevere for some time.
You have to learn when to realise sometimes you may be a bit too far out your depth. This wrap has gone really bad. Regardless of the material, temperatures, conditions, I don't think I can do any better.
The material is really brittle. Covering this front bumper in one piece, I just won't even try. I don't think it's possible, certainly in this setup. The centre of the bonnet's a mess. I already have areas lifting all across the top of the screen, areas along the roof even. That's never going to work. I would have to cut this crease, which would be dead obvious. I have pulled some of the paint off the boot lid, so that's definitely been resprayed. Again, all this area is lifting up. Similar story along there. Truthfully, it's probably a combination of things. I have spent long enough getting this far, and it may pay dividends to go down a different route. I'm not sure what that is yet. I believe if I continue, I'm just going to waste more time. I'm thinking I'll probably remove the wrap. Perhaps I'll sleep on it. It's a shame having got this far, but I have made a decision. I've decided it's coming off. So there we have it. After I can't even remember how many days, I have decided to pull the plug. As I said, I think it is for the best. Other than those certain areas, it did look good, but unfortunately it is what it is. We just have to move on. After a short while of head scratching and acceptance of all that wasted time of applying the vinyl, I came up with the idea of still using the vinyl, but applying it in such a way that it won't have creases and excess material in certain areas. Triangles. Lots and lots of triangles. Perhaps you could call it Dorito Livery. It's gone very cold again, hence the on-brand colour jacket to match this new livery idea. I have the front bumper on, so now I can blend the front quarter panels into the bumper and the bonnet. I did not anticipate how long this procedure will take. It's easy enough applying them spread out, but when it comes to filling the gaps and making the triangles fit, there is a lot of trimming involved, but triangle by triangle, we'll get there. A day or two into my triangle marathon, my fingers were getting a little sore, and I hadn't even covered half of the car yet. A bit more speed up the A-pillar, and eventually we're on the roof. made it across the roof, back down the A-pillar, and we've made a join.
Yes, this is taking as long as it looks. Eventually I will run out of vinyl.
I've got the front end done and I've made my way up the A-pillars and have started on the roof. I need to get the door trims back on before I carry on up the doors, and not got a massive amount left.
We may change the colour on the back end. I have already changed the logbook and it's logged as orange. Me being me, planning ahead, kind of backfired. Now I have to make the majority of the car orange, but we'll get there.
After putting the door protectors back on, I can continue up the doors. I think the triangles are slowly turning me mad.
There's definitely a theme here. Orange, orange, orange.
We are now getting really low on the remainder of the vinyl.
This is what I'm left with now for the orange vinyl.
I would say we've gone about halfway along the car.
I did foresee this was going to happen.
I have found some nice blue in my stock, so guess what? We're going to fade it to blue.
I really hope it doesn't take too much longer to get the rest of the triangles on. Perhaps the blue will be quicker. We have a few more things to do, then we'll be able to get this car out and do something fun. If you enjoyed watching me struggle and cutting triangles, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you very soon. So many triangles. Oh, this one.